I belong to you. I belong to you.
Welcome to Bright Future Friday, a live stream panel where we interview professionals to obtain more insight about their work. Thanks for joining us. Today we're chatting with awesome healthcare pros about their journeys, challenges, and what the future of healthcare looks like. Get ready for real talk, good vibes, and inspiring stories. Let's get into it. Now we will be turning it to Imani, who's going to introduce our panelists for today.
Thank you, Anaya. Dr. Michelle Taylor is the former Director Health Officer of the Shelby County Health Department in Memphis, Tennessee. She's also a colonel residency trained flight surgeon in the Tennessee Air National Guard and is licensed to practice medicine in Tennessee in the District of Columbia. She has been selected to serve as the next Baltimore Health Commissioner and is scheduled to begin her new role on August 4, 2025. Dr. Taylor is a dedicated, enthusiastic public health professional with over 20 years combined experience in private military healthcare, public health practice, and health policy expertise. She is committed to continuing to provide excellent leadership in improving the health equity policy environment through policy expertise in population health, pandemic management, population level health risk identification and management, and emergency preparedness. Dr. Taylor received her undergraduate degree from Howard University in 1997, her medical degree from East Tennessee State University in 2002, and completed a pediatric residency at East Tennessee State University / Johnson City Medical Center in the University of Tennessee Health Science Center in 2005. She earned a master's degree in epidemiology from the University of Tennessee in 2009, a doctorate in public health from Johns Hopkins University in 2015, and a master's degree from public administration at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government in 2018. Michelle has two children, Malik, 19, and Ella, 11, and she loves to travel to new places, baking, walking, and reading. Miss Andrea Curley is an experienced community engagement professional. She knows how important community leaders and residents are for long-term happiness and has invested her career in putting people in places and spaces to meet and engage with statewide community leaders. Andrea was driven to pursue community engagement and investing from her passion for helping people during life-altering times. As the Director of Community Affairs and Engagement in multiple Baltimore City agencies, she has been able to perform at a high rate of engagement and investment. She has been working in community affairs for 15 years and in that time has assisted hundreds of families, leaders, residencies, and beyond. She was educated at the University of Baltimore with 2 masters in public administration and human services administration, with a bachelor's degree in political science. She's worked for some of the most respectable mayors in the city of Baltimore and individuals under city council, president's office, and beyond. Andrea is an accomplished human resource professional of human resources and repeated success in implanting best practices and building successful human resource departments. She has adapted at the that building. Oh no, she has adapted at developing policies, standards of operation procedures, and best practice, backed by a proven track record of wealth of knowledge in managing a variety of human resource functions, diversity training, and organizational development activities for government agencies, private industry, and non-profit organizations. Andrea has a strong background and experience in supporting large and diverse workforces of employees in multiple locations, including union and non-union, exempt, temporary, and frontline staff, and mid-level and senior management. Andrea loves the culture of Baltimore City and has been living, working, and worshiping here with her family since she has graduated from college. She enjoys spending her free time exploring towns along the East Coast and swimming and reading. Dr. Hakeem Staval is a seasoned public health advocate, criminal justice expert, and researcher with a strong commitment to reducing recidivism, preventing gun violence, and addressing systemic health and social inequities. He earned his BA in social relations with the concentration in criminal justice from Shawnee University of Pennsylvania and went on to receive an MS in adult and continuing education. Dr. Staval has made history as the first African American male to complete Wilmington University Doctor of Social Science program, focusing on prevention science. His groundbreaking dissertation examined the effectiveness of community reentry programs and reducing recidivism, highlighting the critical role of housing, employment, childcare, and transportation supports. Currently, he serves as an operations officer with the City of Baltimore Department of Health in the Youth Wellness and Community Health Division. In this role, he focuses on tackling community violence and youth suicides in Baltimore City, combining data-driven approaches with grassroots community engagement. His unique blend of academic rigor practices, practical experience, and personal dedication positions him as a vital contributor to high-level policy discussions on criminal justice reform, public health, and equity-driven community safety initiatives worldwide. Now to introduce our hosts, Melanie and Devin.
Let's go. Y'all on the camera.
We would like to thank Anaya and Imani for the introductions, And we would also like to thank our panelists for being here, taking time out of their busy schedules to be here today. Thank you. And we're just gonna get straight into the questions.
Excuse me for a second, young man. I'm sorry. It would be a disservice if I did not introduce my administrative colleague that works on our team, Miss Katrina Brooks Jones, and I wanted to just make sure that she is recognized as well as the other panelists as well.
Okay. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Brooks.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too. I'm sorry I had a little technical difficulties. I'm not used to this platform, so I was on the Teams link.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first question will be for all of you, and it is, what inspired you to pursue your career, and what field are you in? Any one of you could go first. It doesn't matter.
Dr. Taylor, can you go first? It's such a great honor to have you here with us. Of the screen. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. If I go off camera, it means I needed to find some place to plug my computer in, but I'll talk really fast. It is such an honor to be here. This is one of my first appearances as the incoming health commissioner, and it couldn't be more important to do it with young people. So thank you for the invitation. What inspired me? I knew that I wanted to be a physician since I was like 5, right? So I always knew that. But I didn't know that I wanted to be a public health professional and physician. I kind of fell into that. And I really fell into it because I had my first child, my son Malik, who is now 19. And I was a full-time pediatrician. I thought that's what I was going to do for 25 years. I thought I was going to practice for 25 years and then retire. And God had a different plan, and here I am, about to be you all's health commissioner. So I love what I get to do every day. I have built a public health career off of my pediatric experience. And the reason why I love it so much, it's because as a physician, I was able to help one person at a time in the office. But as a public health professional, I get to help groups of people, populations of people. The slogan at Johns Hopkins says you get to save lives millions at a time. And that's really why public health is so important and was so attractive to me. I can tell more of the story, but I want to give the panelists a chance to talk as well. And I'm going to go off camera for just a second because I do need to plug in, but I'm listening.
So I actually became very interested in and decided to take a role in public health through a tragedy, through a disaster. Initially, I worked for many years in veterinary medicine. I went to college for veterinary medicine. And then in 2005, after moving back to Baltimore, I'd lived in South Carolina for some time, having my children, raising my family. I moved back to Baltimore and started volunteering with a youth organization. And in 2005, Hurricane Katrina happened. And I had signed up to be an AmeriCorps member at that time. And so as a full-time AmeriCorps fellow, I was deployed to New Orleans and served for a year there, helping families who had suffered as a result of the hurricane. And through that experience, really began to think about what my true calling in life was, and decided when I returned home to go back to school to get my master's degree in human service and my licensing in counseling, and start working with young people and families. And I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I absolutely am passionate about the work that I do with young people. So through a tragedy, I found my calling.
I'll go next. So guys, I would just say hello to everyone. And just growing up in Baltimore, we all witnessed firsthand how disconnected many residents felt from decisions affected by their daily lives. And so I saw talented, passionate people who wanted to make their neighborhoods better. And in that process, we were able to help them navigate through the systems, right? So those systems can be concrete and they can be difficult for folks to go through. And I didn't feel like their voices were being heard. So that gap between community and that need and what we can do to make folks better made me passionate about building my career in this particular field. So just that gap between community and that institution response really drove me to the work that I do today. And so I wanted to be someone who could help build those voices and translate grassroots concerns into actionable policy and programs.
Okay, I guess I'm up next. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, what I guess my well, first of all, myself in my current role, I work in suicide prevention in the Office of Youth and Trauma with the Department of Public Health. What led me on this journey it has been an interesting path. I started off growing up in the streets of West Philadelphia, around where the MOVE bombing took place. There have been various courses during the timeline where you see a lot of different systemic incidents that have occurred within that particular neighborhood. And so it all starts off with me growing up with a young friend of mine who was murdered, who was he was a drug dealer, and he tried to sell some folks basically it was a bad deal that went awry, and he was murdered. And when I went to see his body, initially, there was a medical examiner who worked with the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office who walked up to me and said, is that your partner? Is that your friend? And I said, yeah. I said, he was my friend. He said, well, look at him. And I took a look at him, and he said, is this where you want to be? And I said, no, this isn't where I want to be. And so he offered me an opportunity to work with the Philadelphia Medical Examiners, where I first started. And I just started working as I was intrigued with public health and the multifaceted approach that's associated with what happens with understanding about what happens with families, the investigative side of what happens when folks die, and how it impacts families. And as I started working there, not only did I understand the impact that a lot of the systemic violence has placed on our families in various neighborhoods, it also gave me an understanding of learning the forensic craft, learning about the different systems that are associated with working in the medical examiner's office. So much so it intrigued me to the point where they started incorporating forensic investigations, that I wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. And so I started off at Cheyney University, which is the first historically Black college to lead into law enforcement. And from that extent, it evolved into social work. From social work, I started working as a case manager doing drug and alcohol, support, running groups, things of that nature. And then it evolved into me leaning into youth corrections, because based off of the experience that I've already seen, I thought that I could be able to enhance and help other individuals working in the juvenile sector. And so I worked in DC Corrections for about a year, helping youth to transition into a much more successful role that would make them helpful. And then from that point, I moved into the adult jail side, where I worked as a corrections officer for 10 years. And when COVID hit, I was intrigued to become more interested in recidivism, why individuals have reoccurring crimes, why do they keep coming back into the system? And it allowed me to explore trying to invest myself into helping youth become more self-sufficient. So I guess to make a long story short, the career trajectory itself had embodied a fire in me to be more passionate, to engage with the youth in our various communities that have been impacted by various social ills.
Thank you. I would like to ask you all, what does your typical day look like for you all?
Dr. Taylor?
I'll go first, but it's loud in here. Please forgive me. I hope you all can hear me. So, typical day, meetings, and more meetings. And then in between those meetings, you get to meet some really cool people like yourselves. So a lot of times when I was director in Shelby County, I would get to go out, have speaking engagements, and on a typical day, I may talk about 3 different topics. I might go to a Rotary Club and talk about the importance of getting your immunizations and getting your children and grandchildren immunized. Then I might go to a church and talk to the seasoned folks at the church about how important it is that everybody knows their HIV status, even if they're more seasoned in life, right? And how important it is that they get comfortable with talking to the young people in their lives. And then I would round out the day by maybe making a visit at one of our clinics and talking to families about what kind of services they felt like they needed within the clinic that we weren't providing. And then one of the most exciting parts of my job in Memphis was, and I'm sure it will be in Baltimore as well, was going to present in front of our elected officials, our county officials, to make sure that they knew that their money was well spent by the health department when it comes to providing services.
So a typical day for me starts off with, like Dr. Taylor, meetings. Mostly meetings with city agencies, mayor's office, and then meetings with community school coordinators and principals. It may involve doing a healing circle at a school, helping young people to kind of practice talking about difficult topics around sex and sexuality, around trauma and things that feel safe or not so safe for them in the school environment, or doing a workshop with parents, training parents to know the signs of trauma, explaining to them what trauma is, talking to them about suicide ideation, or training them in how to support their young people through difficult situations. At the end of the day, it may be a debrief internally with our director in our office, and then kind of making adjustments to my implementation plan based on the information that I've gathered from schools and from community, because I know that plan helps me to really shape it to tailor what I produce in the community to the needs that people specifically say they have, because everybody's needs are different. And so I use that kind of as my roadmap to help me to be able to provide to schools and to families and to communities specifically what they want. I don't define what they need. They define what they need. And then I meet those needs.
Yeah, and then for me, friends, there is no such thing as a typical day, right? Which I want to say we love about our role. You might start your morning reviewing community feedback forms on our latest town halls here in City Hall under the mayor's office. Then you may spend your afternoon at a neighborhood association in East and West Baltimore, providing information and updates to community members and homeowners. And so you may be at a youth engagement tennis match or chess game, whatever it may be, and whatever we need to be to make sure folks know we're here to serve. And so I spend a lot of time on relationship building, whether that's grabbing coffee with a community leader or attending a city council meeting and a hearing and presenting as well. And so with that, we're responding to our residents' concerns. And we support that via our community action partnership centers and then different hotlines that we have as well. There's always a mix of strategic planning, direct community interaction, and of course, administrative work for fundraising, grant writing, or program evaluation.
As well as my colleagues, no 2 days are the same. Basically, my typical day may consist of corresponding meetings, reviewing evidence-based practices. When we talk about evidence-based practices, we're talking about reviewing various types of research for the audience that may not know. Basically, there may be like some significant information that may lead towards me evolving my practice as a prevention practitioner that can help reduce the ongoing cases of trauma that are within the city. In addition to that, I'm masterful in terms of community asset mapping. I claim that because that's who I am. So I'm a connector. And so by connecting various resources within the city, it makes my job a lot easier when it comes down for me to make presentations at various schools, make presentations at various different resources that we find, maybe youth programs, like for instance, YouthWorks, where I may have to make a presentation and I might want to bring in a special guest or an additional resource to that matter. And then also creating opportunities. Our number one initiative is to promote 988. And 988 is a suicide hotline that is used for individuals who have been or face situations of trauma where they may need to correspond. And so it's also my responsibility to follow up with any relevant information with 988 and then also advocate and promote information as the administration sees fit. And that's me. That's my job in a nutshell.
Okay, I would like to kind of like piggyback off of what y'all all just said, because y'all said that no 2 days are the same. So I would like to ask all of you, like, what would the most challenging part of your day be?
You all keep making me start, so I'll start again. And once again, the music just keeps getting better and better here. But the most challenging part of the day, and like everyone has said here, no 2 days are the same, right? So the most challenging part of the day is normally when there are surprises, right? Sometimes surprises can be good. Most of the time they're bad, right? And so it can be challenging to do that and deal with those challenges on top of all of the regular work that has to be done, right? So, for example, I'll give you a clean example, as clean as I can make it. Right before I finished up in Memphis, we got a suspicious package at one of our clinics, right? And so protocol was followed, but because the security guard who was contracted to receive packages at that facility didn't know the protocol, she actually opened the package because they were trying to determine who it was for, and she ended up going to the hospital as a result of opening that package. Now, she's okay now, but that kind of surprise is not something you normally want to deal with on top of everything else that you have to do in your normal operations. That's an extreme example, but I'm sure that everybody on this call could give you an example of that, where it really isn't about the specific challenge, it's about managing that along with all the other things that have to get done every day.
So I think one of the challenges that I face, that I've tried to be very purposeful in addressing, is making sure that everyone is at the table when it's time to make decisions about how we want to positively impact young people. In Baltimore, like a lot of other cities, people are used to going to work and doing their job, and that oftentimes means going into your office and closing the door. But in public health, in order to do your best work, you have to collaborate with folks. You have to talk across systems. And many of us are so used to working in our little private silos, our agencies, and just working with our immediate colleagues, that we have forgotten that oftentimes we are helping some of the same families, or working with some of the same schools, or trying to create change in some of the same neighborhoods, and that we can do our best work together. So the challenge oftentimes that I face is that I can work with families and young people and give them the supports and services that lie within the health department. But like most human beings, none of us have one problem. And young people need educational supports, they need family supports, but they also need places to go to eat and get healthy food. They need stable housing. They need safe passage to school. And so there are other people who need to be at the table who have expertise that they can bring, so that we can speak to the needs of the whole human being. Because you're not just students, you're not just your parents' kids, you're all of those things at once, at all times. And so we need to work with the whole of who you are and make sure that all of your needs are met so that you can transition into healthy adults. And so getting folks to understand that we work best when we work together to support you is one of the challenges that I face, because we've grown so used to just doing our part and hoping that that's enough, when we really know inside that it's our part is not enough. We have to work together so that we can meet all of your needs.
Thank you, Katrina. And I would just follow up and say the hardest part of my particular position is managing expectations while working within the system. And our system, unfortunately, is a slow motion engine. So community members often come to us with urgent needs. Housing concerns, public safety concerns, requests for better services, and they rightfully expect quick action. But creating sustainable change often requires working over top and within those systems. So building those coalitions and securing that funding, all of which take a lot of time. So it's heartbreaking sometimes to tell someone passionate about improving their community that for example, an infrastructure project they might need, it's going to take 2 or 3 years for approval, right? So finding ways to show progress and maintaining community engagement during those long timelines, it's an ongoing challenge. Thank you.
I think one of the challenging tasks that I have as a part of my job is confronting various societies of neighborhood generational trauma. And when we think about generational trauma or expressing generational trauma, you're thinking about impacts that have happened to various families translating to their children, that those behaviors being passed forward to their children and their children's children. And you have to work with patients in order to disrupt the ripple effect. And as a Black male, as a representative of the Black male population, you see more of these social and systemic ills, more so impacting a lot of our young Black men and in our young Black communities in general. And so as a representative walking in, I think one of my mentors had expressed to me, when you're going out and doing community outreach, you can't get everyone to fall in line. Your job is at least to get one person and change one person. And if you feel as though you've been able to change at least one, then it's a success story, because what we do as community practitioners and community health educators is a challenging task. Being able to do outreach and be able to create the translation necessary to promote and provide outreach with proper information so that the impacted people can get the right information. Some people go on deaf ears and they don't want to hear it. And then you have a large population of, men in our societies, and particularly Black men, who don't pay attention to, medical health and, don't take care of themselves. And it's our job to reinforce that. And that's the driving force and the passion that I have to try to help those individuals who are disserviced, who do not have that information in full transparency. And so it's a tough part of the job, but it's something that I love to do because I'm passionate about the community that I work with, and I'm passionate about the population that I'm engaged with, because I feel as though I was that young individual who was ignorant and not paying attention to certain things. And I guess I find it to be my responsibility to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. This question is only for Dr. Michelle. Have you had the chance to visit Baltimore yet? And what are you most looking forward to seeing or experiencing in the city?
So I actually lived in Baltimore for 2 years when I was starting my graduate program at Hopkins. So I know Baltimore pretty well. Yes, I have moved into my new home in Baltimore. Right now, I'm sitting in Harlem, in New York, at the corner of 140th and Frederick Douglass Avenue, because my daughter, my youngest child, is at a summer dance intensive at Dance Center of Harlem. She has one more week of this 3-week intensive, and then we will officially be living in Baltimore. And I can tell you from how that child is, she gets to decide what we do first, and it will involve eating. So probably one of the first things we'll do is figure out where the local folks, because we will be local too, have crab cakes. because we both are foodies and we love to try new things. And I have a couple of favorites from when I lived there before, and I know better than to say what they are because everybody will have an opinion. But I would love to hear from you young people where I should go first to have authentic crab cakes.
Thank you.
You all aren't going to tell me where to go?
Coco. Coco.
Hands down. This is a unanimous. This is
Me
a
personally,
unanimous thing.
me personally, I don't really like. I'm not a seafood person, but like my favorite place to eat here is definitely gonna be Chipotle. Like you can't go wrong with that. You can't. You can't.
Crabs.
I understand that.
Like, no,
I just
crab
said,
cakes.
I
Like,
just said that I don't enjoy the seafood that much.
Listen, we have the same debates in Memphis over barbecue, so I get it. And if my son was on here, he would agree with you about Chipotle. But Coco's is one of my favorites, so I'm glad you said Coco's.
Okay, so I have a question for you specifically, Dr. Staval, and that would be, what do you see as the future opportunities or challenges in your industry?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? What are the future challenges?
I said, what do you see as the future opportunities or challenges in your industry?
Well, I think access to financial resources that help to enhance programs. When I was a kid growing up in the neighborhood, there were like different programs, summer programs that were accessible to youth, like various STEM programs, educational support programs to help foster a degree of educational support, mentorship. There were also programs just like similar to YouthWorks in Philly. We used to have what's called Fill a Job, and it helped me out a long way because it kept me occupied, kept me out of the neighborhood, and I was able to incorporate different types of trade skills. I worked with a contractor, and for 1 year, and then I think the medical examiner's office was a part of that as well, and then also investment in our youth programs, our recreations department, and I think Baltimore's recreation department is doing like an awesome job. I think just pouring in financially into those programs to help to encourage our youth to help give them a sense of support, knowing like moving forward, the community's got your back, and we're gonna help you. We're gonna help see you through whatever types of challenges that you may have. What was the other part of that question?
The challenges, like what are the challenges?
The challenges, just the access to a lot of those financial resources. Like we're coming in a phase right now where there's like fear of the unknown in terms of like financials, various shift in politics, things of that nature. Not knowing like the financial resources are somewhat, they can tend to be somewhat scarce, which drives us to be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more in depth in terms of like trying to find those accurate resources that would be willing to help to partner, that we would be able to partner with in order to successfully support ongoing programs that would be helpful towards the growth in the community. So that's I think that was like one of the major challenges that I would think that we would encounter.
Thank you. This next question is only for Ms. Andrea. How does your work impact the youth of Baltimore?
So, everybody, we are the mayor's office of children, family, and success, right? So that's just it. That's it, hands down. We are here to make sure that we are serving the whole family. And so young people are at the center of everything that we do. Even when we're not running youth specific programs, we are advising for better community support, making programs safer for children who are in and out of our school buildings, i.e. safe passage. When we push our community centers and after school programming, we're centered around youth. Creating spaces where young people can thrive, right? We work closely with Youth Council, the Youth Commission for the Mayor's Office, Baltimore City, and student government associations across BCPS, right? And so we're ensuring that your perspective of information is heard and that we are taking those concerns to city council members and our great mayor. And we help secure funding for jobs and training, mentorships, and initiatives. And then some of those college prep resources as well via our CAP centers. But beyond direct programming, I think our work shows young people that their voices matter and that civil engagement can create a real change in our community.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Miss Katrina, and that would be, what advice do you have for young people interested in your career path?
So the advice that I have for young people who are interested in my career path is twofold. One is learn the power of listening. There's so much that you can gather by just really listening to what other people are saying, hearing their stories, and valuing who they are as individuals. The other thing is, remember that your work starts now. So don't wait till you're an adult to think that you're important enough to be at the decision-making table. Start now. Be a part of a youth organization that's connected to community and make sure your voice is being heard. My motto is, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And you don't want to be on the menu. You don't want decisions being made for you or about you without you being present. So it's very important to exercise your voice now. Realize that what you have to say is important and that you have a right to say what it is that you need to say, not only to just get your needs met, but so that you set an example for your peers and those that are going to come behind you. It's important to realize that you're important and that you're here for a purpose, and to know what that purpose is early on. I think one of the best things you can do as a career is something that you're passionate about. And it may come to you early in life, or it may come to you later in life, as it did for me. But always be listening, and because in the listening, you'll find your way. You'll hear something that you connect to, and you'll get on the right path.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one last question for everybody. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Can you repeat that?
The last question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Mm-hmm. I think I would want my superpower to be invisibility. um, because I always want to be like the fly on the wall. I want to be in spaces to hear what's happening and see what's happening, not necessarily for others to see me, but to hear what they have to say, to hear people's experiences and see what they bring to the table. And so I think I would want invisibility. I would want to be in the space and to benefit from being in the space without interrupting the flow.
I think I'll choose the ability to perfectly understand and communicate with anyone, no matter what language, no matter what background, no matter what cultural background that person or that individual has. There's something deeply appealing about being able to bridge any communication gap. And so I think that would be my superpower.
Oh, I was going to wait for Dr. Taylor. I just okay. All right. So if I if I had a superpower to choose, it would be the power of peacemaking, but also with the ability to make guns disappear and weapons of mass destruction disappear. That would be my superpower. I'm all about peace, and I'm all about unity, and just one harmonious type of superpower that I could be able to incorporate to my young brothers and sisters to grow and live your life meaningful and be able to thrive and love each other. That's it.
She wants to.
So I was determined not to go first with this one, and I succeeded. So I'm actually going to borrow my superpower from my great-grandfather because he had this uncanny ability. And Katrina talked about it a little bit. He had an uncanny ability to make everybody feel seen and heard no matter what was going on around them. And I try to practice that as much as possible. Everybody to a person loves for you to make eye contact with them and to actually listen to them when you ask, "Hi, how are you doing today?" A lot of times we ask that question or we make eye contact with someone and we don't even wait around for the answer or even register what the answer was because you've already gone on to something else. So if I had a superpower, that would be what I would want, to make everybody feel seen and heard in the moment, and then to be able to act on that to make sure that our entire community is
I want to hear more about that.
Okay, so now we're going to turn it over to the chat. They're going to ask you a few questions and we'll read them out loud. So, they asked, how do you stay motivated during tough days?
Oh, I'd like to take this one. One of the things that keeps me motivated are my kids. They really, I ask my children for a lot of feedback. I'll tell them about meetings or presentations I've done or just experiences in the community. And they'll give me some great feedback. They'll tell me, well, wow, that was just a little too much. Next time, narrow it down a little bit, or they'll say, these are some great questions to ask young people or parents. And so I take a lot of feedback from my children and also young people that I've mentored over the years that I've kept in touch with give me some wonderful feedback. and help me recall things that we've done together during their mentoring experience that I need to remember. Things that I did well that maybe I forgot. They'll bring it to my recollection and they'll say, try this, remember when we did this, try this. And so that's really good because at my age, I forget things sometimes. And so it's good to have young, fresh minds around me that help me to recall the things that I've learned that worked well and the impact that those things have had.
I would say just connect with a deeper why and be passionate about yourself. Acknowledge what worked that day and just start small with your small wins. And don't hold on to the tough times. Let that stuff go at the stop sign and your day will continue and it will get better. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna ask another question, and the two that I already answered, y'all don't have to answer this one again because we don't have a lot of time left. And the next question is, what are some steps you take to balance a healthy work-life balance?
Dr. Taylor's waiting on me. Okay. Okay. So I just recently, as of lately, just started to get into spinning. So that's something new, but something that I've been intrigued with, and so I just started to invest in spinning classes. And so I'll get up early in the morning, first thing, between 5:30 and 6:30, and just try to get my legs moving, my arms moving, and get myself prepared to after that to transition to the office. And so by doing that, it allows me to get loose, because any pro athlete or any person in their craft, what do you see them doing? Basketball players, they warm up, they make layups, they go back and forth up and down the court just to get warmed up. And so that's what I need in order to get the blood pumping in order for me to do what I need to do. And so that's pretty much my balance. And then afterwards, once I complete my tasks throughout the day, on my way home, my drive, it's therapeutic, and I play jazz music. So I'm an avid collector of jazz, and just love to. It helps me think, and so it also allows me to process how my day went. And so that's pretty much it's like a three step process, so to speak. So that's me in a nutshell.
So young.
So Dr. Stovall took all of my answers, but I'm going to say it in my way. I have always been one who exercises. My mom is career military, so she was not having it that we didn't move. But I got hit over the head with breast cancer almost 10 years ago, and it was my wake-up call to start taking better care of my body in the form of reducing stress. I'll never be able to prove it, but I do believe that my diagnosis was because of stress. And so now there is not a week that goes by where I'm not exercising at least 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. While I've been in New York with my daughter, this has been a great time for me because it's been a stress reliever. But I've also been walking and running in Central Park every single day. I'm also a spinner, so I have a Peloton bike that when I was in Memphis was in my bedroom so that I couldn't have an excuse not to get on it. Now it'll be in my office in my Baltimore home. And I'll continue to connect with my trainer back in Memphis twice a week virtually. When I was in Memphis, I was going to him twice a week so he could torture me with strength training. And of course, just hanging out with my kids and being reminded of one of my whys, not only to make sure that they are raised well, but to make sure that other kids have the same opportunities as they have had in life through different resources and different paths. That's where I get my balance.
Thank you all for your answers. We would like to now pass it on to our Vice President for closing.
Okay, and again, thank you to our panelists for joining us today for Bright Future Friday. Today's panel showed us the passion and purpose driving healthcare forward. Let's keep that inspiration going as we build a brighter, healthier future. See you next time.
I belong to you. I belong to you.